This is Sian James speaking for Life, the Basic Manual. And this clip is part of our playlist that's aimed for people who are afraid that a loved one has a problem with drugs or alcohol. And in it, I'm going to be talking about coping styles. And doing that, I'm referring back to some work undertaken at the University of Birmingham quite a while back now as part of a big study in the UKATT study, looking at what helped different people get sober and stay sober. They were looking specifically at alcoholics. And what this particular team was looking at was how much impact a person's social network of support had on their use of drugs or alcohol. And they found it was an absolutely critical factor. If everybody around you is using, you use, and if everybody around you is drinking, you drink. Now, where family members came into this equation was that family members were also a vital part of whether or not people found recovery, and their different coping styles were a key element of that. So this team identified 3 particular styles: withdrawn, tolerant, engaged. So looking at those in reverse order, a withdrawn coping style would be one where a family member has completely lost the ability to deal with the situation, lost patience with it, and says to the person who has the problem, I don't want to see you again, I don't want you in my house again, don't phone me, I'm done, I'm out. And many people find themselves having to take this stance as a self-protective measure. A tolerant coping style, on the other hand, is saying to the person who has the problem, I'll support you whatever you do, here's the money to fund your drug habit, stay in my house, I'll tolerate your violent outbursts when you come home drunk. It's just allowing the person and even supporting them to continue their dependent behaviour. An engaged coping style is when a family member remains involved in that person's process of recovery and journey seeking recovery, but doesn't tolerate destructive behaviours. So no more gifts of money, no more propping up a situation, no more repetitively bailing somebody out, but saying to that person, I'm going to help you get the right support. Why don't you attend a fellowship meeting? Let's look at interventions that may help. What they found when they studied these coping styles was that, of course, you already know the punchline here, that an engaged style was by far the most effective for the addict themselves. But interestingly, what they also found was that family members tended to find this style easier to adopt because it was a less extreme position. It wasn't complete rejection, but it wasn't unconditional support. So if you find yourself in a position where you're just starting to deal with a loved one's use of drugs or alcohol, think about what coping style you're going to bring to bear. It needs to be one that also supports you, that's self-protective, but hopefully can have a positive impact on the situation you find yourself in. I hope that's of help.